Your Excellency, Madam Rachida, Dati, Minister of Culture, and as I like to say, as a resident of Paris 7, my mayor as well. Very pleased to be here today. To Mr. Thomas Bach, Mrs. Thomas Bach, Mr. Bach, who run the largest global movement in my view, and one that actually makes a big difference in the lives of people. To Mr. Jawed Ashraf, on all your extraordinary achievements and the work that you are doing, this must really rank as something special because its value is immeasurable. To the Family Association, Pierre de Coubertin, thank you for keeping alive this legacy. This initiative is important not just for your family, but for the world, because it's important to study the vision and the ideals that inspired him to think so far ahead of his time and think not just for his country and for his people, but think for the world, for humanity at large. And finally, I'm really, really proud to say, and really proud that we have with us Mrs. Sangeeta Jindal and Mr. Park Jindal of JSW. We're so proud that they are actually the exclusive sponsors for this extraordinary exhibition, reflects a great commitment to sport, but in general to the idea of bringing humanity together. In this world, we often look back and look at who are the great people in modern history. And we often think of politicians, military leaders, we think of scientists, economists, but we rarely think of someone like Mr. Pierre de Coubertin. But we all have to acknowledge, once you see the exhibition, once you've heard about Mr. Pierre de Coubertin, we're all familiar with those 5 rings, but very few are actually aware that it is he who had conceived of this. And so we have to think that when we look at the idea and how it has brought the world together, then he must be one of the most profound influences in the world in modern history. And we have to recognize that space, because sports is not distinct from society or from the world, but it is integral to our lives, and not simply as sport, but something that is so interwoven into the fabric of society. And it is so linked to human progress. So it's really, really something very special that we are organizing this. And the fact is that through history's many shifts, through the transformation that we have seen in the world, and through technology's multiple leaps forward, one thing that has endured is the Olympic movement. And it has only grown with passage of time. It had withstood the great wars, it had withstood the great divisions of the world. And for those 2 weeks, we celebrate the finest of human ideals, human aspirations, irrespective of which flag goes up and which national anthem is sung. But the world is for once, forgets their differences. It forgets all the divisions, and everyone comes together to celebrate not just the finest of human achievements, but the ideals that inspire us to come to Olympics every year. So this is particularly special. We are doing this in 2024. The reason is that Pierre de Coubertin started modern new Olympics, but Paris 2024 will start a new trend in Olympics. We are taking Olympics out of the stadiums, into the streets, and into the iconic sites of the city. So when you associate Olympics with a city, as we always do, then the visuals must carry the iconic images of the city. We're bringing sports. Paris is bringing sports to the people. On the river, on the streets, in Place de la Concorde, next to the Eiffel, and so many different places. And it is also setting standards in sustainability. It is also making sure that you don't build extravagantly and waste all that you have created. So we'll have only, I think, 2 new structures that will be built, the village and the aquatic stadium. But the rest of it will be either reutilizing existing capacities or building temporary stadiums. What a new idea this is, once again reflects the spirit of innovation of the people of France. And that brings me to us, because Paris is also where India, in its 2nd edition of the Olympics, made its own presence. And it actually won 2 medals. through Norman Pritchard. We won 200 meters race and 200 meter hurdles. We had hoped we would continue to do better, but I think our participation is strong, even if our medal tallies over the decades hasn't been actually the same as our enthusiasm and our spirit has been. But all that is changing. And you've just seen that history of India in Olympics. And there have been some iconic moments, not just the fact that we first started in Antwerp in 1920 with a multidisciplinary team, but also with a hockey that captured the imagination of the world. But look back at 1964, when Milkha Singh nearly won a medal, or 1984, when a woman athlete in India, a young 21-year-old woman athlete in India, nearly stood on the podium. Or in 2008, when Abhinav Bimra won the first individual gold medal for India, or 2021, when Neeraj Chopra wrote himself into history with a great throw of the javelin. These are not just medals. These were moments that inspired the youth of India. Truly speaking, if you see the number of Indian women now out winning medals as far as Olympics is concerned compared to Indian men, it is because of 1984. If today the young are taking to sports like athletics and not just to cricket, which is the lifeblood of India, it is because they began to believe. They were inspired, they began to believe that it is possible, it is in the realm. And all of this belief is now being translated into, perhaps for the first time, I see this with the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, whose passion for sports and Olympics is just extraordinary, into a consistent, coherent, and a visionary policy of Olympic movement of sports. And he doesn't just see sports about number of medals and about people standing on the podium and the glory it brings to the country, but also as an intrinsic, inextricable element of India's national progress, of the social, economic transformation of the country, to creating in the youth a power of belief in being able to transform lives. And this is not just about sports in India, it's about 1.4 billion people of India, the world's largest population, with the world's largest youth population of nearly every fourth young person now being a young Indian, about believing, about dreaming, about thinking of themselves at par with the rest of the world, of transforming their lives on a scale and speed that has been unimaginable before. And all this is now becoming a reality because you have organizations like JSW. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you wouldn't think of an Indian corporate sector investing so much into the development of sports. Just as the government is building infrastructure across the length and breadth, focusing on nutrition, focusing on training, competition, building the character, JSW is walking hand in hand with it. In fact, some of our winners today come from that wonderful institution that JSW has established. And I'd like to say also that it is their presence today as exclusive sponsors for this is a testimony to their belief in the Olympic movement, to the belief of India actually participating in a bigger way. And I have to say that we have ambitions, as the IOC president knows, of higher ambitions than just standing on the podium, of actually hosting Olympics in a not distant future, perhaps in our own lifetime. And we look forward to the support of the world. Imagine when the world's largest population, 1.4 billion people, lay host to Olympics. What a message it will be to the world. The world's most diverse country with 22 languages, multiple faiths, of every kind of human diversity coming together to host the world would be a great message. And this is the reason why I wish to sort of host the Olympics. It will be yet another milestone in the Olympics journey. And we have been fortunate to get the support, for example, from France. As Madame Rachida Dati, who was there with His Excellency President Emmanuel Macron in January as the guest of honor for our Republic Day knows, President and Prime Minister spoke a lot about partnering in sports development. And President Macron was very generous. He said, you have all our facilities for your sports people to to participate, to train in. We'll offer everything to you. He invited administrators from Indian Olympic Association, from Sports Authority of India, and others to work with the Paris Olympic organizers to learn from us and to learn from them. And today, we're fortunate to say that they welcome our desire to host the Olympics sometime in the near future. So this is again a great moment that brings together so many diverse threads of history, heritage, but also of the future and of international partnerships that are at the heart of the Olympic movement. Congratulations again to the family, to Madam Rachida for being so generous with your town hall, and also with her time in the midst of some other preoccupations that we're all familiar with these days, and to JSW for being such generous sponsors for this. Thank you very much. Thank you.